Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and welcome back to the Slang of Ages podcast. Here's another archive interview I found on my iPad. And this is one with Carl Palmer, where we talked back in 2018 about the Carl Palmer band and his work with the ELP experience. So sit back and relax. This is a very short interview. I only had Carl for about 20 minutes. I was calling from Atlanta, Georgia to his house in England. So I hope you enjoy it. And again, this is audio only, no video, but I think it's worth a listen. Enjoy.
Internationally. How are you?
I'm okay, not to worry. We'll try to get as much info as we possibly can.
I understand. So you're fresh back from a South American tour, right?
Correct, yes.
How did that go?
It went very well indeed. It's the third time I think we've been there as Carl Palmer's ELP legacy. Had a great time, great reception in Chile. Yeah, all very, very good. Rio, fantastic as always. Very, very pleased. It's a global market and it's something which, really turns a lot of heads. Prog rock is big over there, especially in Argentina.
And you've been touring with the Carl Palmer ELP legacy for a while, but before that, it was the Carl Palmer Trio.
It was a Carl Palmer band. We just decided to, make it very obvious what music I was playing. That I was playing ELP music, albeit in a new way, in a different way. But we wanted people to understand what the spirit of the project was all about.
Right, and this is a prelude to the release coming out. I think it's a double CD release and an iTunes release of the trio.
It's a CD and it's a DVD.
Oh,
it's a DVD in tribute to Keith Emerson and Greg Lake, who both died in 2016. And there's a CD which I recorded, a new CD with my group, playing classical adaptations, classic pieces of Emerson, Lake and Palmer. So it's a two sets. It's a set of two items. One DVD, which is basically in concert with people like Steve Hackett guesting.
Mm-hmm.
I've got the Ida Choir from Florida singing on Jerusalem. We have Mark Stein from Vanilla Fudge singing on a couple of ELP tracks. And that's the DVD, which is about an hour and a half, something like that. I can't remember exactly. And then there's a separate CD, which is just my group playing. So that's the package.
And this is really, I think this is the first time that you recorded with Paul and Simon, though you guys have been together for a while. Is that correct?
I recorded the last two CDs with Paul and Simon.
Oh, okay.
Working Live 2 and Working Live 3, yeah.
Okay, I don't have those. I had the opportunity of seeing you live in the Festival tour. I think it was in Baltimore, Maryland, and I was amazed at, well, first of all, how tight you guys obviously are. They've been playing together for a while, but it was an incredibly energetic show and interpretation of ELP music.
Thank you.
How did you meet Paul and Simon?
Well, basically, Paul's my second guitar player. My first guitar player was Sean Baxter, who's somebody I got recommended way back in 2001. And we were together for a couple of years. We had a car accident and the seatbelt went into Sean's neck and he developed tinnitus in one ear. Then 6 months later, tinnitus in the next ear.
Yeah.
And he was told in the other ear rather, he was told he shouldn't really be playing loud music. So I started to look around the music schools here in England, the academies, there's many of them, and asking who was up and coming, who was good. And one of the names that came up was Paul Bielatovic, who has been with me now 14 years already.
Wow, 14 years. What about Simon?
Simon is about the third bass player. Simon's been with me a good 5-7 years. And Simon, I basically called up the Guitar Institute here in London and asked them if they've got any great bass players. And they said, we've got two. One of them is so good, they've had to actually change the scoring on the technique because this guy's technique is so good. So I said, would you send me a sound clip? They sent me a sound clip. And then 2 days later, I've got Simon right in my house and we're drinking tea and eating biscuits and talking about, what we're going to do together. So that's how that happened.
Oh, he's an amazing player, especially seeing him play the Chapman stick and the interpretation of the ELP pieces were magnificent.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal musician. I mean, if these guys had been born in the 70s, Were playing in the 70s, they would both be legends in their own right. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, absolutely. So, your tour last year, I'm going to go back a little bit. You toured 2017 with Asia. I think you guys opened for Journey. Is that correct?
Correct, yes. The month of May and then June and July.
And Billy Sherwood stepped in to handle the bass and lead singing after the unfortunate death of John Wetton. Did you have any plans in 2018 or 19 to go further with Asia?
Right now, we're talking about Asia. Jeff and I, obviously, are going through various things and what we could do, what we couldn't do. As we speak, we have nothing planned at all. Jeff, as you know, is on tour with Yes at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just back from South America. We will resume our discussions. It is something that we think we would like to do again. In fact, I know we would. We just don't know how we're going to do it or who we're going to do it with. And we're just looking at what possibilities might come our way. So it's open to discussion, but it's not ruled out. And I would definitely say to you that it will happen at some stage. How, I can't tell you at the moment.
Okay, so for 2018, you've already been extremely busy with the ELP Legacy piece. And as we mentioned, the album's coming out in a few weeks and the DVD, album and DVD coming out. Do you have further dates scheduled for, I think you have some additional dates scheduled for North America for the rest of the year, right?
Yes, I'm coming back out on the 24th of June. I'm playing in New York City at the Sony Theatre. Then I'm flying out to Las Vegas. I'm playing in the Golden Nugget Casino there. And then I have a date in San Diego. It's a flying tour. It's also, I've got one of my art events during the same time. That's just for a week. But then we'll come back at the end of September until the end of September through October, roughly 4 to 6 weeks.
That's fantastic.
Basically all over America,
Mm-hmm. The arrangements that you play are extremely involved, very difficult. And I think Paul's in New England, Simon's in London as well with you?
Yeah, Paul lives in he lives in New England in the area, yeah.
How do you
and Simon is in London.
So how do you come up with the arrangements and the rehearsals, especially since you have such a abbreviated time between your shows and your tour?
Well, we know what we're doing, and we rehearse at home. I mean, then we have 2 or 3 days rehearsal somewhere, like at the beginning of this year. And that's how we do it, really. It really depends. Once we put a show together, we can normally end up playing it for a good 18 months around the world. And we've been playing together so long, so if we want to change things around, I mean, we can. I mean, we do change around playing Tarkus, which is 22 minutes long.
Right.
Sorry, 15 minutes long, and Pictures at an Exhibition, which is 20 minutes long. We kind of change those around within sets, but we have a large vocabulary of music, repertoire of music right now. So, we don't need an awful lot of rehearsal to get up and running. Deciding on new classical pieces, and there's a couple of new classical adaptations on this CD that you've got coming in this package. I mean, things like that take a bit longer to organise, but basically it's all doable. And we rehearse normally upstate New York in a town called Webster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm familiar with that. So for the new CD, you mentioned that there are 2 sides, obviously, and one with singers and guitars, different guitars, and the third one with the second side of the trio.
So the CD is the trio, the DVD is a tribute DVD to Keith Emerson, and obviously I made it a tribute to Greg Lake because he died in the same year, which was 2016. So basically we have guests on the DVD, which is recorded in Florida. We have Steve Hackett comes on and plays some harmonica, which he plays incredibly well, and plays some guitar on a couple of tracks. We have Mark Stein from Vanilla Fudge, who Keith Emerson was a big fan of.
Mm-hmm.
He comes on and sings Welcome Back from Knife Edge. We have the Ida Choir that come on and sing the John Blake lyrics to Jerusalem. So it's quite an interesting sort of DVD. The CD is different again. That's just me with my trio playing classical pieces and playing some classic ELP pieces.
Mm-hmm. And for both CDs, you mentioned there was really 2 different shows. Who recorded? Who did the engineering for those shows? Do you recall?
Well, I mean, the first show was done with people that my sound engineer
Okay.
that I used down in Miami, and a local company came in and did all of the camera work. And then the actual CD, which is just music, was recorded by my sound engineer, which I use mainly on the road all the time with me, a gentleman called Harry Ford. So there's two people involved, recording engineers involved there on that work.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. And that's direct from the boards really to digital, I would imagine.
Yeah, which you can do very easily today.
If we could, could you talk a little bit about your drumming style? Has it changed? Is the ELP legacy your drumming style different than what you use in Asia or even your prior bands?
Guitars now instead of keyboards. So with keyboards, there's more harmonic structure you can create. So in some ways, the pieces can sound bigger when ELP plays the music.
Mm-hmm.
When I play the music with my group, and we play the same piece of music, let's say, it will sound different because you won't have as much harmonic structure there, but it will have a different type of excitement, which can only really be created by six-string guitars like bass guitar and lead guitar, or Chapman stick, which is 10 strings. So there's a different air of excitement. There's a different nuances sort of going on. So my playing obviously becomes a little more sort of harder, a little more rocky than, let's say, than I did with ELP. It's not intentional. It's just the way the music takes it. So it happens quite organically. That's about the most I can really say about it, because if the music dictates how you play, the volume you play at, the intensity you play at, and obviously there's quite a lot of intensity from guitars that you don't naturally get with keyboards.
Mm-hmm.
So I enjoy keyboards, don't get me wrong. It's a different outlook, that's all.
Yeah, I was just surprised that the arrangements with the bass and guitar and drums sounded, I mean, it sounded wonderful, but it also sounded extremely fresh on some songs which we've been hearing for decades, but it sounded totally new and innovative, and it was much more powerful.
The whole premise behind using guitars, it's very simple, really. I mean, if I could have put a group together and found a singer that sounded like Grey Lake, and I could have gone out and duplicated the music exactly how you know it, but I couldn't personally do that. I think it's important to push the music as far as you can and show how adaptable and show how versatile this music that ELP wrote is. And today's guitar players are so clever, are so good, unlike in the 70s, where, you know, if we could have found somebody like Paul Bielatowicz, we'd have probably had him in the band in the 70s, except he wasn't born then. So when I decided to use guitar, it was really a tall order, but I discovered very quickly, and if you think about it, you know more great guitar players than what you do keyboard players today. And that's the story. So I figured this would be one way of bringing the music to a new generation so they can make it their own. And I do see that. I see the new generation. I see three generations at my concerts. I see the guys my age have obviously played the son, the original stuff. Then they come and see it, and then the son realizes that, you know, hey, he can make this his own, because these are new recordings. These are all with guitars now. It's a different influence. It's a different deal. And before you know it, the music's crossed over. And, you know, before you know it, they've got their sons there who are 15 who are also loving it. So that's what it's all about for me. It's just showing how strong the music is and how versatile. Not trying to duplicate it anyway, but just try and expand it so you get the full benefit. Just like, you know, playing ELP music with an orchestra. That was an expansion of what we did as a group. And, you know, that carries on around the world. There are people in Japan, for example, who play orchestral versions of Tarkas. So the music that came from ELP is incredibly versatile and can be played by so many different instruments. It's quite eclectic, really. Mm-hmm. And the guitar just seemed a natural way for me to go, especially with the virtuosos which are available today to present the music in the right way. So that's what I've done, and we've managed to cross over. Look, it's not everybody's cup of tea, as we say in England, but at the end of the day, this is what it is. It's original. It stands on its own. It's not a supermarket. It's more of a deli. I realise that. But I don't really care because this is unique in what it is. It's come from a great source, and there's still one of the guys playing it, which is me. And we're just driving it in a new direction for a new generation of people to appreciate ELP music.
No, it is unique and it is wonderful and it's powerful. In terms of what you do as a drummer, a lot of people who have the history of rock with rock, your contemporaries aren't doing it anymore or aren't doing it to the same skill level. How do you stay so fit and so engaged with your instrument?
I think, it's one of these things. Number one, I've always looked after myself health-wise. I've always been very strict on diet, on drinking, and, I've never smoked. In fact, I didn't start drinking till I was 22, and I probably have a drink every 3 or 4 weeks now. It's not a big deal. But I've been very strict on my dietary approach to life, as it were. The drums being so physical, there is no other way of doing it. If you want to carry on playing like you did when you're 18, it takes a lot of effort and discipline. And I've always wanted to play one way. And the one way is quite energetic, it's quite forceful, it's quite powerful. But to do that, I need to be an athlete, really. Mm-hmm. And to be an athlete, I've got to look after myself. So for me, it's hand in glove. I don't get the one without the other, but I get the great satisfaction of being able to play like a 20-year-old guy, but I'm a 60-year-old man, So that's how I look at it, and that's my kickback. And there are no big secrets. I mean, the only thing I can tell you is that I'm now a vegan. I wasn't a vegan when I first started. I've been a vegan for the last 7 years, not out of choice, but because I got very ill. But then once I turned vegan, I realized that the energy that I got through, not eating a lot of dairy, milk, eggs, cheese, and not eating a lot of meat, fish, poultry, or whatever. So, that's definitely helped me. It's nothing ethical. I just did it for health, and that's been my latest step at this back end of my career, as it were. It's managed to stand me in good stead. The thing I will never do, I will never play below par. In other words, any of my contemporaries that I play, if they're playing any different to what they did when they were 20 years old, then they should just stop, because you can't fool the public. The public know when you're not giving it your all, and that's not the way to go. You've got to go out kicking, and that's the way I plan to go out.
Well, I certainly appreciate that you are playing, and I look forward to hearing the record. I hope I catch you again this year, because last year was so amazing. And I really appreciate your time. I again apologize for being late, but
yeah, no problem at all. Thank you so much for the interview. And you can always contact Bruce Pilata on the website. We can always arrange for some tickets for you. We can always help you out. Not a problem there. So please don't hesitate to do that. And thank you once again.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Take care. You too. Bye.
Some background questions.